The envelope hit the table with a soft thud, but it might as well have been a grenade. I stared at the crisp white paper sliding out, the words "Invoice for services rendered," printed in bold, unyielding font across the top. My fiancée's mother, Evelyn, sat across from me in her pristine kitchen, her manicured nails tapping rhythmically on the marble countertop like a countdown to detonation. $10,000, she said, her voice as smooth as silk but laced with venom. For raising Sarah. Food, clothes, education, the works. Consider it a down payment on what you owe for taking her off my hands. My stomach lurched, heat flooding my face as humiliation crashed over me like a wave. Sarah, my Sarah, stood frozen in the doorway, her eyes wide but her lips sealed shut. And in that silence, the betrayal ignited, a slow, searing burn that would consume everything. I forced a laugh, thinking it was some twisted joke, but Evelyn's smile didn't reach her eyes. It was predatory, calculating. "This is absurd," I muttered, my voice cracking under the weight of rising fury. My hands trembled as I picked up the invoice, scanning the itemized list. $2,500 for emotional support during teenage years, $1,200 for extracurricular activities, even $800 for holiday gifts and celebrations. It was a ledger of love turned into a transaction, reducing Sarah's life to debits and credits. I looked up at Sarah, pleading with my gaze for her to intervene, to laugh it off or tear the paper in half. But she averted her eyes, fiddling with her engagement ring, the one I'd saved 6 months' salary for. "Mom's just protective," she whispered finally, her words a knife twist. Protective. This was extortion, a slap in the face to everything we'd built. In that moment, the anger bloomed, hot and unyielding, but beneath it lurked a deeper ache. Heartbreak that the woman I loved wouldn't defend us. The drive home was a blur of red taillights and pounding rain against the windshield, mirroring the storm raging inside me. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles whitened, replaying the scene in my mind. Evelyn's smug grin as she sipped her chamomile tea, the way Sarah had nodded faintly when her mother said, "He's got a good job now, he can afford it." Afford it. I'd grown up scraping by, my parents working double shifts to put me through community college. This wasn't about money, it was about power, about Evelyn asserting dominance over her daughter's life, and Sarah letting her. Resentment coiled in my chest like a serpent, whispering doubts I'd buried deep. Had Sarah always been this passive? Or was this the first crack in the facade of our perfect future? By the time I pulled into our apartment garage, the fury had cooled into something sharper. Obsession. I needed to understand why, to peel back the layers of this betrayal before it devoured me. That night sleep evaded me. I lay in bed, Sarah's soft breathing beside me a cruel reminder of our intimacy. My mind raced through memories. Our first date at the lakeside cafe, where she'd laughed at my terrible jokes. The proposal under starlit skies, her tears of joy. But now those images twisted. Was her affection genuine? Or had Evelyn's influence always lurked in the shadows? I slipped out of bed, padding to the living room where the invoice sat on the coffee table like an accusation. In the dim glow of my laptop, I began digging. Social media profiles, old emails, anything to make sense of this. Evelyn's Facebook was a shrine to perfection. Photos of Sarah as a child, captioned with saccharine pride. But between the lines, hints of control. My little girl, always making me proud by following the plan. Or plan. Doubt gnawed at me, fueling fantasies of confrontation. I imagined storming back to Evelyn's house, shoving the invoice in her face, demanding she explain. But deeper, darker thoughts emerged. Ways to expose her, to make her feel the humiliation she'd inflicted. Guilt flickered. Was I overreacting? No, this was betrayal, pure and simple. Sarah had chosen silence over solidarity. The next morning, over burnt toast and cooling coffee, I broached it. "We need to talk about last night," I said, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. Sarah paused mid-bite, her fork hovering. "It's just Mom being Mom," she replied, avoiding my eyes. "She means well. Maybe we could pay a little to keep the peace." Her words landed like a punch, knocking the air from my lungs. Pay a little. This wasn't a tip jar. It was a ransom for our relationship. Anger surged, but I swallowed it, forcing a nod. Sure. Let's think about it. Inside, resentment festered. How could she side with her mother over me? I pictured Evelyn's face, her triumphant smirk if we caved. No, I wouldn't let that happen. As Sarah left for work, kissing my cheek absent-mindedly, I felt the first stirrings of resolve. Cold, calculated. Play along for now. Work that day was a haze. In meetings, my mind wandered to strategies. I researched Evelyn discreetly. Public records, her real estate business. She was wealthy, sure, but whispers online hinted at shady deals. Forum posts about overpriced listings, disgruntled clients. Nothing concrete but seeds of doubt. By lunch, I'd mapped out a plan. Gather evidence of her manipulations, confront Sarah with proof, force a choice. But doubt crept in. What if Sarah knew all along? What if this invoice was her idea, a test of my commitment? Paranoia gripped me, turning every glance from colleagues into suspicion. I texted Sarah. Love you. Dinner tonight. Her reply, sure babe, felt hollow, a performance. Humiliation burned anew. I was the fool in this drama. That evening, tension hung thick in our apartment, the air scented with garlic from the pasta I overcooked in distraction. We ate in near silence, forks clinking like accusations. Finally, I couldn't hold back. Does your mom always do this? Treat relationships like business deals? Sarah sighed, setting down her glass with a clink. She's had a hard life, okay? Dad left when I was little. She raised me alone. She just wants to make sure you're serious. Serious. I'd proposed. What more proof did she need? But Sarah's eyes held something unspoken. Guilt, perhaps? Or manipulation? And you agree with her? Pressed, my voice rising. She hesitated then. It's not about agreeing. It's family. The word stung, a barrier I'd never cross. In that moment, heartbreak crystallized into obsession. If family meant betrayal, I'd dismantle it. Over the following days, the slow burn intensified. I feigned normalcy, smiles, date nights, but inside I plotted. I hired a private investigator discreetly, using savings I'd earmarked for our honeymoon. The report came back piecemeal. Evelyn's financials showed inconsistencies, loans in Sarah's name I didn't know about. Had Sarah been hiding debts? Resentment deepened. This wasn't just a bill. It was a web of deception. Nights blurred into feverish research, my eyes bloodshot from screens. Sarah noticed, asking if I was okay. Just work stress, I lied, the words tasting bitter. Guilt warred with anger. Was revenge worth destroying us? But then I'd remember her silence, and resolve hardened. Subtle hints emerged, heightening suspense. A late-night call from Evelyn that Sarah took in whispers. A bank statement with unexplained transfers. I confronted her gently one evening, rain pattering against the windows like impatient fingers. Is there something you're not telling me? She faltered, tears welling. Mom. She helped with my student loans. Said you'd understand. Understand. It was entrapment. Fury boiled, but I masked it. Of course. Inside, the plan evolved. Expose Evelyn's schemes publicly, ruin her reputation. But moral conflict gnawed. Sarah would suffer too. Was I becoming the monster? The breaking point came a week later. We visited Evelyn for dinner, the house reeking of potpourri and pretense. She handed me a revised invoice, now $12,000 with interest. Inflation, she quipped. Sarah laughed nervously. Laugh. Humiliation crashed over me, but I smiled through gritted teeth. Driving home, silence stretched taut. You think this is funny? I snapped finally. Sarah's face crumpled. I don't know what to do. She's my mom. And there it was. The betrayal laid bare. She chose blood over us. That night, alone in the guest room, cold resolve settled. Revenge wasn't optional anymore. It was inevitable. The investigator's final report arrived in a plain manila envelope, its weight heavy with revelations. I sat in my car outside work, engine idling, as I flipped through pages that shattered illusions. Evelyn wasn't just controlling, she was fraudulent. Forged signatures on loans, embezzlement from her agency's trust funds, evidence that could bury her. But the gut punch: Sarah's involvement. Emails showing she'd co-signed documents, knowing the risks. For Mom, one read. Betrayal twisted deeper, morphing resentment into obsession. How long had they played me? I crumpled the paper, breath ragged, tears of fury stinging my eyes. No more denial. It was time to act. Planning consumed me, a quiet storm building. I transferred funds discreetly, hired a lawyer under a pseudonym. Inner conflict raged. This would destroy Sarah too. Guilt whispered of forgiveness, but anger drowned it out. Fantasies shifted from confrontation to precision strikes, leaks to regulators, anonymous tips. Fear flickered. What if they turned it on me? But resolve won. I'd make them feel the humiliation, the powerlessness. Subtle moves first. I accidentally left the report on the kitchen counter one morning. Sarah found it, her gasp echoing. "What is this?" she demanded, eyes wide with panic. "Truth," I said calmly, heart pounding. "Your mom's a crook, and you're complicit." Denial flashed across her face, then guilt. It was to help her business. I didn't think it'd hurt us. Rage simmered, but I played it cool. "We can fix this. Talk to her." It was a ploy, buying time while I set traps. That weekend, tension crackled like static. We drove to Evelyn's in silence, the countryside blurring past, rolling hills under a leaden sky, wind whipping leaves like fleeing secrets. At her door, Evelyn greeted us with false warmth, but her eyes sharpened at my expression. Over tea in the sunroom, glass walls amplifying the claustrophobia, I laid it out. "I know about the fraud." Her cup clattered. "Excuse me." Sarah shifted uncomfortably, suppressed rage bubbling in her posture. Dialogue escalated. "You're bluffing," Evelyn sneered. "Am I?" "Loans in Sarah's name, illegal." Sarah interjected, voice trembling. "He found the emails, Mom." Evelyn's facade cracked, revealing desperation. "It was for the family. You'd understand if you had one." The jab fueled my fury, but I held back, letting suspense build. Back home the rift widened. Sarah pleaded. "Don't do this. We can pay you back." Pay me back. It wasn't about money anymore. Heartbreak fueled obsession. Her tears only hardened my resolve. Nights alone, I refined the plan. Submit evidence to authorities, but anonymously. Moral grayness loomed. Was I justified or vengeful? Doubt plagued me, but hidden motives emerged in dreams. Evelyn's control stemmed from abandonment fears, Sarah's complicity from loyalty. Layered, yes, but betrayal demanded reckoning. The retaliation unfolded gradually. First, a tip to the state board. Evelyn's license under review. She called, voice frantic. "What have you done?" Feigned ignorance. "Me. Nothing." Suspense mounted as investigations deepened. Sarah distanced herself, sleeping on the couch, her eyes haunted by guilt. "I love you," she whispered one night, "but I can't betray her." The irony stung, she'd betrayed me first. Climax brewed over weeks. Evelyn's business crumbled. Clients fled, whispers of scandal. I watched from afar, cold satisfaction warring with remorse. Then the twist. Sarah confronted me in our dim living room, rain lashing windows. "It was my idea," she confessed, voice breaking. "The invoice. To test if you'd fight for us, or walk away like Dad." Shock jolted me. Her betrayal was a ploy, but no, manipulation all the same. "You used me," I rasped, fury peaking. She sobbed. I was scared. "Mom convinced me." Poetic justice hit when authorities raided Evelyn's office the next day. Sarah implicated, face charges too. In the end I walked away, engagement ring returned. Revenge delivered psychological impact. Evelyn bankrupt, Sarah isolated. But unexpected consequences lingered. My own emptiness, moral conflict unresolved. Was it worth it? The question haunted, a final twist in the heart's dark labyrinth.